What's up, guys? In this video, we're going to be going over the ultimate backcountry rifle build, chambered in 25 Creedmoor. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, leave a comment, let us know what you think. Now, why am I building a 25 Creedmoor? I have a 6.5 PRC, I have a 6.5 Creedmoor. I did a lot of work with the 22 Creedmoor last year. As you remember, I took that giant black bear at 400 yards. My wife hammered a buck at 650 yards. I took that whitetail at 150. And then I also, on the very last day of season, shot that buck at 738 yards. It's an amazing cartridge. But first, before we get into the 25 Creedmoor, let's talk about the ultimate backcountry rifle build and what that looks like for me. Here you go. A proof research, full Sendero, 24-inch barrel. This is exactly what I wanted, but what you're thinking is, Eric, well, you're going to suppress it. Isn't it going to be too long? Isn't it going to be getting snagged on trees? No. But let me talk about the contour first. I'm a full Sendero contour. With the Sendero light, you can save but 2 ounces. But if you look down the barrel channel, I like the look of a little beefier barrel. I don't know. I just don't like the look. And for me, 2 ounces isn't enough to go to a Sendero light. So that's why I'm a full Sendero fan. Just an FYI, because I know you're going to ask that. Let's talk about why the 24-inch barrel for a backcountry rifle isn't going to matter in this build. Check this out. Cue the angels.
My ears burn.
I've had a lot of you guys asking about doing a chassis build, why I haven't done a chassis build. Well, I'm doing a chassis build. Check this out. Folding stock. Here we go. There's a little button here that you push. Simply push that button. Push it one more time if you want it to fold all the way. Oh my gosh. Check that out. So imagine you're going to have a forearm here too. Connects like so. Then you're going to have a barrel on top of that. That is going to be one short rifle. So I'm freaking stoked about this, and here's why. And this is the Hunter 26 chassis. I was a little bit confused. I'm like, why do they call this the Hunter 26? And then I was trying to figure out like how much this weighed for this video, and I saw that it weighed 26 ounces. So I was like, oh, there you go. Duh. That's probably why they call it the Hunter 26. So anyways, to release this, there's just a button here too. Just simply press that in right there, and voila. It's extended once again. So I was a little bit concerned here because I'm kind of a fan of a high cheek comb, but it looks like you have an adjustable piece here that you can get a high comb. I'm really excited to try this out. Before we get any farther here, I've got to head over to Smith & Edwards and grab my Muley Freak Wombat Action. Cool thing about this, it's serial number MF0001. Let's get it.
Mike, what's going on?
I want to build another rifle.
Let's get going on this project then. You know, serial number 1, that's not every day. So what caliber is this going to be?
You're going to be like happy but disappointed because I just got you on the 22 Creedmoor.
Okay, what is it?
A 25 Creedmoor.
Oh, I'm on with that. I have read up on that, and they say that's the best on barrel life. That's the best of all the worlds.
All right, well, let's get these components off to Travis.
2 weeks later.
Cue the angels singing. Thing is freaking unreal. This thing's gonna be the ultimate backcountry rifle. Now, I called an audible. I had proof send a 20-inch barrel instead of a 24-inch barrel because I had a change of heart. I wanted something just a little bit shorter because what's the point of this? The point is to be short. The point is to be compact. The point is to be lightweight. Yeah, I did that. It's got a thread here. We're gonna stick on the KGM R30K and we're gonna measure how long it is. But first, let's weigh this sucker. 6 pounds, 8.5 ounces. That's pretty light, yo.
Yo, what up, biatch?
One of my biggest concerns was moving to a chassis was the cheek weld. So I'm gonna go ahead and shoulder this rifle for the very first time and see how I like that cheek weld. I'm not gonna lie, that feels pretty good. I don't know what this material is, but it's pretty soft here on your face. Looks like there's also some adjustment here. Actually pretty nice. You can't even tell you're behind a chassis rifle, honestly. Standard 90-degree bolt throw coming out of this Muley Freak Wombat Action by Stiller. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger. I don't know what Travis has got that set up. That's what it's actually set at. That's a light trigger. I'm a huge fan of the Trigger Tech Special Trigger. Nice work, Travis. Gosh, it just looks, this is like one of those rifles you're scared to take in the backcountry, but not really. This is one that I feel like absolutely beat up, no problem. Let's go ahead and screw on a suppressor, get a Night Force mounted up, and then see how we like it from there. All right, now we got the Night Force installed. Let's screw on the suppressor and let's get a weight. See how that eye relief turned out. Pretty good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and thread the suppressor off just to see the weight difference there. There you have it. In the event you didn't want to run suppressed, then you'd save another little bit. All right, let's get this thing to the range and see how she shoots.
Okay, so check it out. We're at the range now. We're gonna get the first shots through the 25 Creedmoor in the chassis build MDT HNT 26. We're gonna get a quick zero. Gonna make sure that this suppressor is extremely hand tight. We are going to, get it on paper, make some adjustments, and then kind of go from there. That's recording. Okay, shot number one. Let's get it. All right, so before I shoot though, I'm gonna go ahead and look down the barrel, make sure that's in line with my target. Make one tiny adjustment there, and that should be pretty close. Always verify your ammunition, make sure you have the correct ammunition. Never a bad thing. Adjust my parallax here. First shot, 2702. So really interesting here. So all of Hornady's test ammo is basically tested on a 24-inch barrel. This is a 20-inch barrel, and that shot number one, did 2702. Box says it should be doing 2,800. So pretty much in line with what I would expect. So box says 2,800 feet per second. That's out of a 24-inch test barrel. This is 20. Let's get another round in there. Let's see how this groups. Here we go, shot number two. Again, I'm just gonna reiterate here. I love shooting with this Garmin Zero. One of the things I picked up from Smith & Edwards. The reason is, versus the magneto speed, while I'm just sighting in, I can be capturing important data without wasting ammo. Shot number two. A little bit higher there. Now, one thing I'm paying attention to here is recoil. There's a little bit more recoil than my 22 Creedmoor, but not a lot of recoil. I was interested to see how this chassis would handle /buck recoil. It does really well. It's not something I really noticed. You'll notice me putting a little bit of pressure here on the top versus coming underneath. There's less stock to work with here. Stock is meaning this, but on the KS1 stocks from Travis that I'm used to shooting, there's a little bit more breadth here. There's not that. So it's just kind of a little bit shooting experience. In fact, FYI, a pro tip for you, rumor is if you're trying to group and you really want to tighten up these groups, that you should shoot these MDT chassis, HNT 26s, off of a bag. But I'm not really proponent of shooting off a bag because you're never really going to shoot off a bag in the field. At least I'm not. I'm always running with a bipod, so that's why I always choose the sighting with a bipod. Now, second note here, as you can see, 2734. So within 33 feet per second of the first shot. Pretty good for factory ammo. Overall, handles pretty good. Let's see if I can shoot another round here and get a little bit closer before I make an adjustment on my scope. Not bad. So those two shots was in between the other one. I'm consistently left, so I'm gonna go ahead, get back on the bullseye, and I'm gonna turn my scope to the left until I land on my bullets. That should correct my left or right. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. Go ahead and put this on the bullseye. Which way is left? Right, so I'm gonna go left. All right, let's shoot again. Here we go. This one should be right in the money. Okay. Now, we now have 5 rounds through the barrel. I'm gonna let this cool off. I don't wanna get this thing too hot. I don't wanna get the suppressor too hot. And I wanna get a real accurate zero here. So I'm just gonna let it cool, relax, enjoy the breeze. Shot number 5 was 2708. For all the people that say factory ammo isn't consistent, freaking take that. Pretty awesome. While I'm waiting here, I want you guys to check out the link in the description and the all-new Game Changer R. This thing is dropping May 15th. You can get your name on the list, so when it does come available, you can get yourself one. It's gonna sell out fast, so check out the link in the description to secure your spot in line today. The R30K is a little bit toasty. I'm gonna go ahead and grab that, be a man. Just make sure that's tight. Good to go there. A lot of these PRS shooters, they're running fans inside of their guns to kind of cool things off. Now the barrel's cool, suppressor's hot. I'm less concerned about the suppressor being hot than in the barrel. So we're gonna go ahead, put another one in here. Yeah, it's definitely better. I'm gonna go one more click left, should have her. Now, so one thing I'm noticing with this chassis build too, it's not necessarily bench gun. Now these PRS shooters will add weights in here because you get a lot of movement in the forearm here. This is a lightweight build. You'll notice that these PRS shooters, they got a lot of weights on both sides, and that kind of balances out this rifle so there's no movement at all. But if you're just going lightweight hunting build, one thing I'm noticing versus, again, that KS1 full stock is there's more movement. It's just the way it is. This is a backcountry rifle. You're sacrificing some shootability to have that lightweightness and to have this guy break down. Great for packing out loads. Is this gonna absolutely hammer a bear, shoot him in the vitals? Absolutely. But it's just a little bit different shooting experience. Overall, really like it. I like this pistol grip. It's nice to grab onto here. The mag is one of the best mags I've ever dealt with. Obviously, this is really unique, the way this folds and breaks down. Got the Muley Freak wombat action there, smooth as can be. Able to get a nice cheek weld. I may adjust this a little bit later, but overall, I mean, it feels pretty good. 2689, by the way, on shot number 6. So go ahead and put another one in here. Shot number 7. A little high there. It's pretty good. I'm not gonna make any more adjustments. I was in the bottom left diamond there. I'm gonna go ahead and try to stack 3 in there real quick. Standard deviation's amazing. Those are staying all around 2,700 feet per second. Really pleased with that. Pretty good left to right. Gonna go ahead and put that scope cap on. It's a good shot right there. Shank the one. Super shootable. 25 Creedmoor, the caliber as a whole, not much more recoil than a 22 Creedmoor, and I absolutely love the 22 Creedmoor. This is a little bit different shooting experience. If you're used to regular stock, it's not gonna shoot the same. You're gonna have to learn how to shoot it. And that's what kind of I'm learning how to do, is shoot this. Obviously, I mentioned before, this isn't really a bench gun unless you wanna add some weights and stuff to counteract this forearm. But overall, caliber, super shootable. This ergonomically sound. You just gotta use it differently because it's different than what you're used to. So we're gonna go ahead and grab this data. We got an average speed of 2708. We're gonna put it into the Hornady folder off calculator, and we're gonna stretch this out to 1,025. Here we go. 1,025, we're gonna be at 8.51 MRADs. We'll go ahead and go over here. Here we go. 8.51. Let's get it. I'm not sure where that one went, but what I'm really trying to do is I want to see if I can see impact through the scope. So I'm going to really focus on getting anchored in here so I can see impact. Oh, so I'm shooting high right now. So we go ahead, take that down just a click. That should get it right there. A little high still. I'm gonna go ahead and make an adjustment on my wind real quick. Okay, so wind speed. We got a 5-mile-an-hour wind. Yeah, it just told me to raise it down. So that's about 8.46. That should do it. That's where I should have been at before. So now that I'm really trying to focus and anchor in, I'm able to see through the scope impact post recoil. And that's what they built these for. That's why the PRS shooters moved to this, because they want to be able to spot their impacts. You add more weight up here up front for a PRS shooter, that's why they're seeing their impacts. You really anchor in, and I think you can also see your impacts too. Here we go. There you go. Took 4 shots. Had to make a slight adjustment on my wind, and that got me right where I needed to be. So the big thing too is when they say these 25 Creedmoors versus a 6.5 Creedmoor is these long boat tail bullets, they're supposed to be able to buck wind more. We'll dive more of that into this when we get back to the studio, but let's send a few more downrange at 1,000. Another impact. So now that I have my dope consistently impacting at 1,000, not gonna lie, feels pretty good. And there's not a lot of recoil. You notice it's kind of shifted me over to the right post recoil. I'm gonna go ahead and try just to put a little pressure here on the top of the scope and see if that helps me stay in the scope post recoil. Definitely helped. Didn't shift me out of the scope post recoil. Adding just a little bit of pressure with my middle finger, holding it down. That's 3 impacts in a row. Pretty sweet shooting. Again, there's no weight here on this forearm, so it's a little bit shifty. Even if you have this bipod locked in, adding this pressure here on the back, again, it's a different shooting experience. But as far as backpack ability, this thing's gonna be awesome for spring bear, especially, and other backcountry hunts for that matter, because you can break this stock down, you can fold it. Once you kill a bear, you can pack it. This is pretty cool. It's definitely unique. Yeah, pretty sweet. Hit. Impact. Woo! Just kind of talking about this a little bit. There's kind of a sweet spot to holding this. It's a rear bag, and it's a little bit of squeezing here. This is just for me, right? A little bit of rear bag pressure, coming up here, squeezing the pistol grip a little tighter, and then just applying a little pressure there. Literally, it doesn't even move. So, had I shot that at 100 yards, would have been a little bit better group. But like, again, this is just getting to know your equipment. This is why you go out and shoot your weapon. So I mentioned there's a little bit of a technique when you're shooting these chassis. And we had the camera off, we weren't rolling, and I was like, I'm gonna recheck my zero and I think I can shoot a better group. So I put my hand on top of the scope like I was telling you about, really anchored in. And that's 4 or 5 bullet holes right here. So I adjusted over to here, and that's where I finished with my last shot. So elevation, I'm good, I know for sure. Left to right, I'm good now, as I know this is my last shot. Made an adjustment, and wow. I mean, if you cover these up, you're looking at 4 or 5 bullet holes right here. So it's just different. It's something that I'm not used to, but I believe you get used to it, kind of get the feel for it, you'll be able to shoot a pretty good group too. Now let's wrap this up in the studio.
Sammy first approved the 25 Creedmoor in 2025. However, wildcatters across the country have been dabbling with a popular 257 for the last 5 years. Now, the 25 Creedmoor wasn't intended to win any drag races per se. It was more about accuracy. It was designed for the PRS shooter so that it could buck more wind at further distances. It's not really necessarily, a speed demon. We're not going to compare the 257 Weatherby or the 25-06 to the 25 Creedmoor, but I think a better comparison is, say the 6.5 Creedmoor. We'll dive into that in a second, but first, I wanted to talk more about the backcountry build itself. I wanted to give it 3 grades based on lightweightness, backpackability, and shootability. Let's go with lightweightness first. Now, I called an audible. I went from a 24-inch barrel to a 20-inch barrel. That's hard for me. I hate shortening a barrel to lose velocity, but that's not really the point of the backcountry build. The backcountry build is to be as lightweight and as short as possible, hence the folding stock. So I wanted to go with the 20-inch barrel over the 24 just because I thought it was more prudent and made more sense in terms of how the overall design and the purpose of the engineering behind the design. So backpackability, it gets a 10 out of 10. Being able to throw this on a pack, fold it up, in a truck, 4-wheeler, side by side if you're hunting off a snowmobile, coyote hunting, this, that, or the other, especially when you get a loaded camp, plus you got your animal, meat, cape, all the things. It's just gonna be super nice being able to fold that stock up and make more room for things. So 10 out of 10 there. Now, shootability. At first I was like 6 out of 10, but with a little bit of massaging and a little bit of testing, I upgraded that 6 out of 10 score to a 9 out of 10. And the reason being is it takes a little bit more knowledge, perhaps a little bit more technique. Now, does that make it harder to shoot? No. It's just, like I said in the video, it's just a different shooting experience. Showing you this KS1 stock versus this chassis, there's just more stock to work with here. And it's just different. If you're not used to it, it just takes a little bit more getting used to. But once you establish your anchor points, make sure that your hand isn't on any of the harmonics, so the barrel part or any part of the action. One thing I learned and noticed was being able to put my middle finger here down, put my hand here on the side, and then be able to anchor with my elbow made a lot of difference. That's when I started stacking those bullet holes, and I was like, aha, I kind of figured it out. Now, it wasn't built to be a bench gun. Like, I was shooting it from a bench, but that's not the purpose of this gun. I just wanted to shoot groups. Obviously, the gun was built phenomenally by Travis Stevens. Anyways, if you'd like to build one of these rifles, shoot me a DM. We're building these weekly. We'd love to get one going for you, whether it's a chassis build or regular build. Happy to help you out. The point is it's a backcountry rifle. Am I going to be able to lay down prone, shoot this in the backcountry? No problems. Hit vitals at 5, 6, 7, 800 yards? Yep, not a problem. And that's what this was built for. So I just want to say there's so much versatility in this chassis build, from the way your scope, suppressor setup, the way you're going to run a bipod. There's just so many different things you can do here. And I will say, it's an impressive unit overall. Like I said earlier, I don't think it makes sense to compare this to the 25-06 or the 257 Weatherby, though it is a 257 caliber. I think it makes the most sense to compare this to the ever so popular 6.5 Creedmoor. Yes, maybe the most hated cartridge of all time, but maybe that's because they're jealous. It's one of the most heavily produced ammunitions by Hornady Manufacturing. So let's go ahead and compare these. You can see here in the drop chart, I'm going to read them off here. You can look at them here below. 25 Creedmoor at the muzzle, 2850 with 128 grain ELDX. The 6.5 Creedmoor with 143 grain is 2700. Now, at 100 yards, that's a 2704 on the 25 Creedmoor. The 6.5 Creedmoor is 2556. It's going faster. Let's look over the energy here, though. Like, this is kind of interesting. After the muzzle velocity, so you start out with 2308 on the 25 Creedmoor, and the 6.5 Creedmoor, you start at 2315. Look how much the 6.5 Creedmoor drops off at 100 yards. That's eye-opening to me. The 6.5 Creedmoor at 100 yards is 2075. The 25 Creedmoor at 100 yards is 2078. And then progressively, the 25 Creedmoor starts to surpass it in terms of energy. Let's go down to 400 yards, 1496. Well, the 6.5 Creedmoor has 1470. Now, yes, it is shooting a bigger bullet. There's going to be less recoil in the 25 Creedmoor. There's more energy, and it's going faster. Now, like I said, it's not going to win any speed races, but if you're able to put that bullet and see where that bullet's going, you're inherently going to be more accurate. Number one always beats number two. Number one is shot placement. If you can make an adjustment like I did, I was able to anchor in at 1,025 yards. I was able to detect that I was shooting high. I was able to make an adjustment, and boom, I was able to check my wind and see that I had dialed too much, and I made the adjustment. That's the beauty of being able to stay in the scope post recoil. Let's go to velocities down at, let's just jump to 500 yards. The 25 Creedmoor is 2166. While the 6.5 Creedmoor is 2025. We all know how popular the 6.5 Creedmoor is. You know, there's memes about it on the internet, Creedmoor wasting disease, all these things. The truth is, the people using the 6.5 Creedmoor, if there's any hate to be had, is put the bullet in the right place, because it's more than capable. I think the 25 Creedmoor is going to become ever more popular. I thought it would be awesome just to build it in this backcountry build, and I'm really happy I did. All right, guys, so wrapping this up, I want to finish with a little giveaway. I'm going to give away one of these sexy Hornady range bags, and here's how you win it. Number one, like this video. Number two, subscribe to the Muley Freak channel. And number three, hit the link in the description and put your email in so that you can be notified when our all-new Game Changer R Bino Harness System drops. So 3 steps here, and you can win a Hornady range bag. Number one, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Number two, like this video. And then 3, go to the link in the description, enter your email for when we have our all-new Game Changer R drop. Appreciate you guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
Hit.